Nearly a week after 17 of their classmates and teachers were shot and killed, about 100 Parkland High School students piled onto buses today, headed off to Florida's capital to demand changes to the state's gun laws. They call themselves the Never Again movement, and they have no plans to stop at the state level.
My message for the people in office is, you're either with us or against us.
It's time for us to stand up and take action and hold our elected officials responsible.
I want Congress to put a bill out saying we need stricter background checks. Here's how we're going to do it.
It's something many people have wanted for a very long time. A Quinnipiac poll just out today found 97% of all American voters support universal background checks, including the same percentage of gun owners. 67% support a nationwide ban on the sale of assault weapons. As for a lawmakers' action on this, a Washington Post ABC News poll done over the weekend finds 77% of people feel Congress has not done enough on gun control. 62% say the president has not done enough on the issue. But now, for the first time, the president is signaling he's open to change on a variety of gun issues, including banning bump stocks like the ones used in the Las Vegas shooting.
I signed a memorandum directing the Attorney General to propose regulations to ban all devices that turn illegal weapons into machine guns.
One more preliminary thing. Late last week, there was a heated debate about a statistic we mentioned on this show. Several other national outlets used as well, noting the Florida shooting was the 18th school shooting of the year. To be clear, that did not mean it was the 18th shooting in which a person was killed, but rather the 18th time a gun discharged on school grounds. Just today, a 7th grade student in Ohio shot himself in a school bathroom, meaning he was able to get a loaded gun onto school property and obviously easily could have hurt or killed others. Joining me to talk more about this and a few other issues are Dan Small, former assistant U.S. attorney, now partner at Holland and Knight. He's the only lawyer, I know you hate this when I say this, but it is what it is, to have defended 2 governors on corruption charges. Dan, it's good to see you.
Great to be here.
Former Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley, she's now a partner at Foaley Hoag. Good to see you, Martha.
Hi, Jim.
Brian Kelly is also a former assistant U.S. attorney, one of the prosecutors responsible for putting Whitey Bulger behind bars. Brian, it's good to see you again.
Same here, Jim.
Let me start with you. I was going to say in rapid fire, a horrible choice of words. This afternoon, first, we hear about this bump stock move by the president, but minutes later, we learn that the Florida House of Representatives votes down by a 2-to-1 margin a bill that would have allowed them to take up the question of banning assault rifles. By the way, with the kids from Douglas High School sitting in the room, are these kids and their parents going to make a change, or is this one of these short-lived things and then we move on to the next deal?
Well, that's democracy, right? People are trying to press their representatives to make a change. And I think, actually, they will continue to push the issue because I think a lot of people believe there's no sense in letting 18-year-olds buy AR-15s.
So, but sitting in the rafters there, these kids come and their own state representatives vote 2-to-1 against even taking up the bill. This was not 2-to-1 to ban assault rifles. It was 2-to-1 to begin a debate around the issue where they could still vote no. They don't even get that. That's not a wonderful omen, is it?
No, but I think it's just the start. And I am impressed with these kids and how I think they can make a difference. I've been I was DA when Columbine happened in 1999. I lived with all of those concerns during those years. When the young man on Sunday morning talk show said, how are you going to make a difference? He said, because we're the ones being killed. I thought, these kids are committed, they're smart. And it reminded me of what happened in the Vietnam War. Remember, those protests came about because it was the young people who were being sent overseas who made the difference. These kids are committed, and they know how to use social media.
You buying this? I mean, there's some hopeful thinking there. But their own legislature votes down. And by the way, an aide to State Rep Sean Harrison said the people speaking to reporters, the students, they're not students, they're actors who are doing this. Just said this afternoon. Is there any reason to think anything is going to change?
Well, I would love it if it does, but you're fighting against years and years and years of enormous amounts of money being spent to retain legislatures, to hire legislators, to elect legislators. From the gun lobby.
So why is Trump doing what he's doing today? If it turns out there's going to be resistance, is this just to do something on the margins to sort of calm angry activists around the country?
That's right. I mean, bump stocks are such a small part of the problem.
Wasn't a small part of the problem in Las Vegas?
No, but it was a small part of the problem in Florida. There was no bump stock. It was an assault weapon. Look, look,
Well, maybe just be that Trump wants to do the right thing here. I mean, you know, to a certain extent, you have to give him credit. I mean, the failure here is bipartisan. It wasn't too long ago the Democrats controlled Congress when Obama was president.
First 2 years, he had both houses did absolutely nothing.
They passed nothing that would have.
Oh no, the problem is not. The problem is bipartisan, but the solution has to come from somewhere. And for the President of the United States to say that bump stocks are the solution is nonsense.
Well, he also said yesterday, Sarah Huckabee Sanders say today, nothing is off the table on this issue. He called John Cornyn, a United States senator from Texas, Republican, said he's open to talking about background checks.
I think he sees the political pressure here, and that's one thing he's very good at, seeing where these pressures are coming from.
Yeah, but see, I think that Washington Post ABC poll, I want to bring up another piece that I didn't just mention, which I think either gives an out or says the American people want something else. I thought this was quite interesting. Do you think U.S. mass shootings are more a reflection of mental health problems or inadequate gun control laws? 57% mental health, 28% gun control laws. That provides cover, does it not, for people who don't want to do anything to guns to say the American people want us to deal with mental health issues. That's what we're going to do. And that's what Republicans have been talking about through all these shootings.
Well, there's multiple explanations for these problems, right? And mental health is one of them. So I think that should also be a legitimate focus here.
Do you think Trump actually cares about this? Maureen Dowd, who I bet is your favorite columnist in the New York Times.
Don't get me started on her.
She has a column yesterday talking about Donald Trump as candidate, and even before in a book, saying he supported an assault weapons ban. He was going to get in his car when he was elected president, drive to Virginia to the NRA headquarters, and not leave until he cut a deal. Then he gets $30 million from the NRA, and all of a sudden, he's a new man.
Well, look, the Second Amendment is not a suicide pact, right? I can't have a machine gun. I can't have a bazooka, but I can have a rifle. I can have a pistol. I mean, I'm allowed to bear arms, and I think there has to be some sensible middle ground, and I think he recognized that a lot of people don't think it's a good idea to have 18-year-olds buying these semi-automatic weapons.
You were an attorney general here for quite a while. Why haven't, I mean, you mentioned also at the beginning of this wave of school shootings with the horror in Columbine, why haven't we suffered through the same fate as Florida and Oregon and so many other places?
Well, I think there's two reasons, and I saw this as DA in some of the work we did after Columbine. I think in every county in Massachusetts, you have schools and police, social workers and others who work with kids who have problems. They may not have criminal records, they may pass a background check, but we've been able to identify sooner kids who have issues, mental health or other personality disorders, and you can't buy assault weapons here. Nobody can buy them here. That makes a big difference.
You know, we have three prosecutors here who I think different political stripes, I mean, at least cover a pretty wide spectrum. Where are the prosecutors? Where are prosecutors in terms, I mean, I assume your voices matter for Congress that talks about how it wants to control crime. Where are the...
Well, I think the prosecutors use what tools they have, and if you're a felon in possession of a firearm, prosecute them.
I don't mean just in individual cases. Why aren't voices being heard from the likes of you three in halls of Congress?
But they have been, from police chiefs, from prosecutors. It has been a voice not heard because I think of the money of the NRA.
Is there a prosecutor in this country that doesn't want some further common sense gun reform, Brian? Is there such a person?
I doubt it.
I doubt it. I mean, I think there are people who are legitimately concerned that the hard left wants to abolish the Second Amendment and take away everyone's guns.
Are you among those people?
No, I think there should be regulations, but I do think there are people on the left who think no one should have a gun. And
who are those? I mean, who are those people? Isn't that like a red herring kind of thing? I mean, who are they?
I bet you 30% of the country thinks that. So there's a concern, I think, amongst gun owners that all the guns will be taken away. I don't think it's a legitimate concern.
The slippery slope argument.
Yes.
So then you should never have any regulation because you may go further. You want a quick response to that?
Yeah, I think it's nonsense.
Why?
Because, look, I went the other day to get a driver's license. We regulate driver's licenses, but does anyone really think we're going to abolish cars? Of course not. It's nonsense. And these...
Well, you have to pass
weapons,
a test to drive a car. I mean, you just made the point that
these weapons are killing machines. They're not for hunting. They're not for personal security. They have no purpose except to kill, and we should get rid of them.
And anybody who has a gun should know how to use it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't have a problem with that. But we put more restrictions on getting a car and using it for public safety reasons. We should do the same thing
you
here.
can't drink till you're 21. You can't
sometimes you can't buy cigarettes in some places till you're 21.